thank you for coming. My name is Roya. I'm part of the team here at Galvanize. How many of you, this is your first time at Galvanize? Oh, awesome, a lot of you. So if you're not familiar with Galvanize, we are a dynamic learning community for technology. We provide entrepreneurs access to people, resources, and knowledge that they need in order to learn and grow and be successful in their business. We also have a data science and web development intensive immersive program. So if you have any questions about any of that, you can come talk to me or any of our staff afterwards. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of tactical programming in place for our members. And so really the idea behind the storytelling series was to create some inspirational programming, not only for our community, but for, not only for our members, but for the external community as well. So I'm gonna take a quick second to talk about Slido. We'll be using Slido to field questions. Really easy, you can go to slido.com and just put in the unique code, which is #dream, to be able to submit your questions. And so with that, I would love to invite Brew Maya to the stage. She is our People and Culture Director, and she will be moderating our panel with Dream tonight. Brew?
This good? Okay, awesome. Hey guys, how are you guys doing? Good? Awesome. So I'm the People and Culture Director here at Galvanize, and I want to kick us off with a little exercise that I do at Galvanize. So we have an annual summit every year, and before the annual summit, in order for us all to be aligned, feel good, we do a little meditation. So when I was talking to Dream on the phone, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to revisit that and just do it with you guys so we can all feel connected before we bring her to the stage. Sounds good? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to guide you through it. So plant your feet down, sit comfortably. Everyone? Okay, feeling good? Okay. Allow your eyes to close gently. Everybody, close their eyes. Take a moment to feel the weight of your body, the density. Really let the body sink down, rest down. Feel supported and held. Maybe take a few deep breaths, letting the chest and the belly fill on the inhale and letting go on the exhale. Then letting your breath return to its own natural rhythm, no extra effort, no trying. Turn your attention to your head center. Bring your attention to notice you're aware of the content of your mind. Perhaps there are thoughts, images, plans, hopes, concerns. No need to judge or alter any aspect of what you're sensing. Just allow to be there. Now turn your attention to your heart center. Notice what you feel here. If you want, feel free to put your hand on your heart. What do you notice? What feelings are present? Now pay attention to your body. Take a moment to scan your body on the inside. Notice your shoulders. Allow them to descend, relaxing your arms, your torso. Travel down to your legs, your thighs, your calves, ankles, and the soles of your feet. Pay attention to the soles of your feet inside your shoes. How does it feel? Now bring your attention back to your leg, to the spot 3 inches below the navel. It may help to put your hand on your belly. What are you aware of? Is it constricted? Is it contracted? Is it dull? Coolness, heat, tingling, or a sense of spaciousness? Let everything be there, letting the body express itself to you with all the information that it has. Inhale, exhale. Slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. You guys feel good? Yeah? Do you feel more connected? I use this because it really helps with self-awareness, groundedness, and also listening, which you guys are going to have to do for an hour. So I really want to try and encourage that. So with that said, I want to introduce Dream, who we're so excited to be here. So let me just take out my clicker. Cool. So for those of you that don't know Dream very well, she's a co-founder of Do Lab. And this is an example of what Do Lab does. They are an event production company, and they create amazing structures like this one for Coachella, Boom, which is in Portugal, and of course, Lightning in a Bottle, which Dream also happens to be the co-founder of. She co-founded that in 2004, and it attracts more than 30,000 people to Lightning in a Bottle in Bradley, California. And then Rockwell is also the director of Lucent Dossier, which is really cool. It's a high-concept steampunk meets neo-tribal circus troupe. LA Weekly describes it as a world that doesn't exist, a place where future and past happen simultaneously. So this is Lightning in a Bottle, and then this is Lucent Dossier. Dream is a woman of many superpowers: singing, circus arts, dance, aerial arts, fire performance, live original music, vocals, and music producer. Wow. Her international renowned dreamscapes cornerstone an area of consciousness, entertainment, and community. Dream's limitless creativity fosters freedom of character, expression, and boundless artistry. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Dream to the stage.
No, I'm on.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Thanks for the awesome introduction. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Dream. Awesome. So with that, there's a lot I want to cover. But first and foremost, I just want to bring attention to what Roya says and what really sparked this event. We want to get behind the storytelling of our founders, right? And not just the metrics, but really what made it happen. What kind of experiences did they go through? So I'm going to just dive right into it, Dream, and really ask you, is there a specific moment that you realized in your life that you were like, I need to do Lightning in a Bottle, I'm going to create Do Lab? Can you take us to that moment?
Sure. So how many people here have been to Burning Man? Is there anybody here that was at Burning Man in 1998?
Yes. Nice.
So 1998 was my first Burning Man. I was at school in New York, and a girlfriend said, hey, you want to take a road trip? I had a motorcycle, and so did she. And I think we were the only two girls in New York that rode motorcycle. So she's like, you want to ride our bikes across to the desert? There's this crazy festival. And I was like, sure, let's do that. And then I said, when are we leaving? And she's like, tomorrow at noon. And it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I was just like, tomorrow at noon, okay. This is 1998. I did have a cell phone, but not too many people did. So I was like, how am I going to get organized by noon? So anyway, we're like 12:15 or 1 o'clock. I can't remember. Like I was a little late. I showed up at her place, and she'd left without me. So that was 1997. So the next year, 1998, I flew to San Francisco, flew here from New York. I bought a 1971 Volkswagen bus. I bought it online before I got here. I flew here, picked it up, and drove it out to the desert. So that was my first year at Burning Man. But the year that everything kind of changed for me, well, that was a big, obviously, mind-blowing experience for me. But in 2003, I met a character. Do I have this little clicker thing? So let me just figure out how this thing works. Oh, that's not how it works. How about, now what did I do? Oh, wrong way. Okay. So in 2003, I was just running around the desert at the festival, shirtless, going crazy. It was a little bit different back then. And this character that I'd seen over the years that I'd been going came up to me, and he said, they called me Dancing Girl, because I used to go to Burning Man and not speak, and that would be my whole thing. I would never talk to anybody. And any question they asked me, I would answer by dancing. So they, asked me where I lived, and I would like show them the New York dance, and then, whatever. Everything was just like no language. And I loved it. It freed me. It was the best feeling ever. I was an actress at New York. I was actually on a soap opera at the time. So I was in a box in New York. And so when I went to Burning Man, it was my time to just be me, not to be the persona of who I was when I was living in New York. And I loved it. But he came up to me and he was like, what are you doing with your life? And I tried to dance for him, and he goes, no, that's not going to work for me. I actually want to know what you're doing, because I see you all the time, and I feel like you have some powers that you don't know you have, and I want to help you unleash them. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Kind of just trying to have fun, but okay. So
did he speak then? Like, did he
yeah,
answer anything?
I did. He made me talk. So then he said, what are you doing with your life? And I said, well, I live in New York, but I just signed with 3 Arts Entertainment, a great big huge agency. And I said, they're moving me to LA, so I have to move to LA. And he goes, well, what are you going to do when you get there? And I said, well, I'm an actress, but I also direct, and I produce an event in New York. I had an event called Lunatic Fringe, and it's a poetry slam night that ran for 7 years in New York. And I said, so I got, I have this thing, and I design costumes. I'm a makeup artist. I was like naming off all this crap. And he said, if you arrive in New York like that, in LA like that, they're gonna laugh at you. And I was like, laugh at me? I'm multi-talented. And he's like, no, you need a point on your arrow. So he said, I tell you what, go get a point on your arrow, and you come back and talk to me. And I was like, okay. And then he just took off on me and left me there. So I was like standing there going, like all I could hear was laugh at me, that people were gonna laugh at me. And it was so, that's like the worst thing ever. Like, laugh with me, but at me, no. So within an hour, it's like the skies opened up, and the entire vision for what really became lightning in a bottle just dropped into me. I saw it all. And my perception of how I saw it was a little bit different, because there was no real concept for me to back it up. But it was sort of like, I likened it to old school carnival, where it was super interactive, where people came in and there were little stations where you could do things and you could interact with individual people. There were multiple stages, and it was similar to Burning Man, but easier to get to, because I think Burning Man's really hard for people and really expensive, and it even was back then. So I wanted it to be something that was closer to LA and San Francisco for people to attend. And I had all these, ideas that were going, and then I just wanted to find the guy. I was like, I need to find him. I need to tell him I have the point on my arrow. It encompasses everything I'm good at: producing events, performance, music, interactive things, because my poetry slam night was super interactive. So it was like all these things. And of course, I couldn't find him. And back then, you could go to Burning Man and stay for a month, and nobody would really kick you out. So I think it was 6 days later when I finally found the guy. And I was just like, oh my God. I have it. I know what it is. So I said, here's my idea, and I laid my idea out to him, and he goes, amazing. I'm a set designer. I just did Tron. And he said, so I'm going to be your set designer. And I was like, what? And then he started using the word we. And up until that point in my life, I'd only ever been an I. I'd only been a me or an I. I'd never been a part of a we. I'd never had a we before, which I know Galvanize is all about. You guys are all about we over here, right? So this guy started using we. And in every single sentence, he said we. So I was like, and he's like, we are going to build these sets. And he said, I'm going to build these huge flowers, and I'm going to put these big, huge bugs. And he said, then when people come in, they'll be tiny, and they'll feel like little elves or fairies in this world. And when they feel super small like that, they'll be able to leave their egos behind, and they'll play like children. And I was like, okay, wow. Yes. Yeah. I'm in. I never saw the guy again. But
did he ever become your set designer or no?
No.
No? Oh.
No. In fact, his name is Mariano Diaz, and I tracked him down recently. I tracked him down a few months ago, and just had like the deepest drop-in, heartfelt, like, wow, you transformed not just my life, but thousands of other people's, like, because of what I went on to do that then impacted other people. So yeah, I had an amazing drop-in with him, but no, I didn't see him again. Wow. So I landed in LA, and it literally, synchronicity at that point started happening. Like once I was clear, once I had a point on my arrow, what he was right about is once you get a point on your arrow, synchronicity starts to happen. And if you listen to synchronicity and you start to tap into what's happening, I just started saying yes. Yeah. So then things started happening for me. I found myself at a party. I met a girl, and her name was Makiko, and she had a circus called Dream Circus. And I'm like, well, that's so interesting. I'm Dream, you have Dream Circus. She said, come be part of my circus. So I went, and then she invited me to their production meeting, and then introduced me to everyone as her production coordinator. And I was just like, she just randomly did that. And I'm like, it was a 5,000 person event that they threw every quarterly. They threw 5,000 people events, like huge events in LA. And suddenly I'm the production coordinator. I've never done anything like that in my life. I was an actor. I didn't know what I was doing really. You know, I had a poetry slam, but it was small. Like these were huge multi-stage events. And it just so I just kept saying yes, and things kept happening.
So what came first, lightning in a bottle or the Do Lab?
Lightning in a bottle.
Okay.
Well, the Do Lab.
The Do Lab.
Okay. Yeah, we formed but actually, before, so we came together as the Do Lab, and we had our website, but we didn't incorporate. So we threw our first lightning in a bottle before we were officially a business.
Got it. But both ideas were very synchronous.
Yeah, they were coming together at the same time. The idea of the Do Lab was a laboratory that we could co-create, which is also kind of what Galvanize is, right? Aren't you guys like a laboratory? Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted a laboratory where a bunch of crazy people came together, threw their ideas on the table, and let's see what happens.
And it almost seems like that vision that Mariano set, right, talking about people playing the playing ground, right, where they can let go of their ego, is the vision that you still hold today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Do you find that vision carries over in all three projects?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I stayed overnight with my best friend who lives here, and she's a therapist now, and she said to me, she has children, and she has oh my God, what is the age category when you're 5 or 6? You're a toddler. Yeah. And she's like, we're all toddlers. That's what she said. She goes, now that I'm a therapist and I'm working with couples therapy, and she's like, we're all toddlers. And I'm like, we are all toddlers. Pretending to be adults. But I think like what I like to do is create events where adults get to go back and be kids again.
That's great. So one of the things that I find really interesting about Burning Man, going there, I've been twice, it's that it's really hard to explain because it's really founded on the 10 principles. I find that you really understand what Burning Man truly is when you're there and you experience the 10 principles. So having values is something really important to that experience. Do you have values written on the wall or principles for Lightning in a Bottle?
We do, and they've changed over the years, but I think for us it's about exploration, about participation, innovation, and creating a safe place for people just to come and kind of get their wiggle out.
The wiggle out. And what's really unique about Lightning in a Bottle compared to all of these festivals out there? Because there's a big boom of festivals nowadays.
Yeah, there's a huge boom. Well, the thing that we added that was unique was the transformation aspect of it. So yoga, workshops, speakers, sound healing, meditation. At the time, Harmony Festival also had an area like that, but it was pretty unique. So I think that's what makes us special, and I know that there are other festivals doing that now too, which is awesome, but it was pretty rare back then.
Can you talk through a little bit of the content? I'm curious, like what kind of speakers do you guys have?
Well, we've had Marianne Williamson, who wrote A Woman's Worth, and we've had Reverend Michael Beckwith, Conversations with God. Who wrote Conversations with God? Do you guys know him? Guru Singh. Oh my gosh. I should have written this down. We've had amazing speakers over the year. Lots of good speakers and great yoga teachers.
So let's switch over a little bit about team building, right? So you talked about the vision and having values that are super important, guiding the vision of it, but then you actually need to put it together and come together and create something. Co-founder, finding the right co-founder. I know you've worked with some folks in order to get this idea started. How did you find a co-founder? What was important for you?
Well, so there are visionaries and there are executors, and I'm a little of both, but primarily visionary, but I also can execute. But I work best with an executor, as most visionaries do. So I don't know if you guys know the statistic, but there are 6 visionaries to every 1 executor. Do you guys know this statistic? So for a visionary, you need to find yourself an executor, because my head is primarily in the clouds, and I can get into a spreadsheet and I can do all that stuff, but it's not my strength. My strength is daydreaming and coming up with crazy ideas that people haven't thought of before, and then I need somebody beside me who's like, let's do this. So for me, the game changer for me was I met my partners, and one of them is a pretty hardcore executor. The other one's much more visionary like me.
How many partners do you have?
2.
2, okay.
Yeah. With Lightning in a Bottle and the Do Lab, I have 2 partners.
And then Lucent?
I'm just myself on that one.
And is that harder? How's that experience like for you?
Well, so for the first 10 years of Lucent, it was just me, but I actually gave equity ownership to my top 4 employees, so now there's 5 of us with Lucent, and that was a game changer for me. They were amazing. They were each with me for 10 years. All 4 of them were with me for 10 years, and they were amazing as employees, but the second I gave them ownership, they just
completely changed.
Yeah. Lucent is doing better than we've ever done before. We're so busy, and they're incredible.
So how long after the Do Lab and Lightning in a Bottle did you create Lucent?
Lightning in a Bottle was a year and a half already happening. The Do Lab, also, and it basically came out of. I have a dance background. Mm-hmm. The first thing I did before I did anything, when I was 17, I ran away from home and went on the road and traveled Europe and the Middle East as a dancer with the United Nations and multinational force and observers. So I just always...
17?
Yeah, at 17. I lied about my age. It was easier back then. IDs were paper and you could photocopy them and switch them around. And then I got to the airport with my passport. And yeah, I did, because I got to the airport with my passport, and they were just like, wait a minute. And I'm like, oops, because I was supposed to be 18. But it was it was pretty incredible. I traveled all over as a dancer all over the world. I had an amazing maybe 4 or 5 years as a dancer before I went to New York and became an actress. So that was a super awesome time in my life. And I think that it kind of was always in the background. Like I wanted to go back to my dance background. Mm-hmm. So Lucent was kind of filling that yearning.
And how did you balance Lightning in a Bottle, the Do Lab, and then adding a 3rd project like Lucent?
I didn't sleep for years. I lived in the warehouse where we produced everything out of. And I worked 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. But it was a love project, right? So if you're loving what you do, it's okay, until it wasn't okay. One day it wasn't okay.
Did your other co-founders have a talk with you about like, hey, you need to manage your time better? Was there ever that tension?
Things like that. I mean, listen, when you're partners for that many years, and we all lived in that warehouse. It wasn't just me. They moved out before I did, but we were all living in that warehouse.
Wow.
So we became family. And, you know, there was every ebb and flow of every emotional everything. Like, we were in it to win it with each other, day and night. It was a lot.
So one of the questions that we might be thinking about right now in lieu of the news with Fire Festival, I had to ask, what's behind the scenes like? Like, how big is your logistics team running operations? How do you make it work so you don't have a fiasco like Fire had?
So we have about 4,000 employees now. When it amps up. So we start with the core team, and then it just keeps growing. So the core team for Lightning comes in around, you know, November, December. We start in our pre-production. And as we gear up towards the festival, the team just keeps growing and amping up. And then by the time we hit the festival grounds, it's more than 4,000 people. And last year we had over 30,000 people. This year we'll probably have close to 40,000 in attendance.
Wow, 40,000. And Burning Man's at 60, right? So that's,
I think Burning Man's more like 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Wow, that's a lot of people. So have you ever had like a mini fiasco? Probably not the scale of Fire Festival, but something that you guys didn't expect to happen that happened?
No, not really. But you always feel like you're about to, you know, like 2 weeks before the festival, there's that bizarre feeling like, you know, like you're about to get hit by a Mack truck. So, yeah, we've definitely had for me, like right before the festival, I'm always like, is this gonna come together? Like you're looking at everything and there's just stuff everywhere because all the structures are being built simultaneously. Yeah. You built a city basically in the middle of nowhere. So you're seeing everything come up, but there's just crap everywhere. Like everywhere you go, there's piles of stuff. And, you know, I think a couple years ago, it was 2:30 in the afternoon. Our first presenter was coming on one of our stages at 5 o'clock, and there was no walls on it. It was a big tent that Josh had designed, and we'd never built it before. We were building it on a hill, so it had to be, all the walls were different sizes based on the hill. We brought in an engineer from Portugal to build it, and it just, you know, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Our first presenter is like our opening ceremony for the whole entire festival is happening in this structure at 5 o'clock, and the walls are in bags and nothing. And I was just like, I thought my heart was gonna stop. It was so much pressure, and it's usually I can keep it. I love pressure, like. Bring it on. Like I thrive under pressure, but this moment I stopped being able to talk. Like I just couldn't speak. It was so far beyond what I could handle. The carpet wasn't down, the stage wasn't there, like it was just a disaster. And at 5 o'clock, our opening walls were up, carpet down, like it wasn't pristine. The plants weren't there, like a few like little details weren't there, but we went on at 5 o'clock.
And why did that happen? Because of the team? Like, did you just motivate everybody?
Yeah, the team.
And how do you keep them engaged? What's your secret to keeping this team going?
Well, I think the secret to how we keep everybody engaged is the philosophy that I have in particular is at somewhere along the way I realized that I never really got anywhere because I had a lot of success when I was younger, a lot of different things along the way. I became a manager, and six months later, the guy I was managing became Madonna's guitar player, and I toured all over the world with Madonna. Wow. So I had like a lot of different like successful things. But what I realized is that no matter how much success I had, whether it was either financial or spotlight, I was always just with me. Every night I would go home and be with me. And so you don't actually feel any different because you're still with you, no matter how much money you make or like big stages you're on or success, or you're still you. So it occurred to me at some point along the way that it's the journey truly, not the destination. Because I'm always going to be with me, and no matter what I do, how I feel about myself is only going to be as good as I feel in the process of actually achieving the goal. So if I feel like crap while I'm working to get to the goal, when I achieve the goal, I'm still going to feel like crap. Does that make sense? So I can only enjoy the success if I feel good all the way along. So
you translate that back to your team?
Absolutely. I'm like, this is the train and we're on it. Let's let this be the joy ride of the century. Because when we get there, the success is only going to last a weekend, or for Lucent Dossier, the performances are so quick. So you got to enjoy the ride. You got to enjoy the ride.
So talking about your journey, I really think back in, you being a co-founder as a female artist, right? And that was in early 2000s. How was the landscape? Were there a lot of women entrepreneurs that were doing what you were doing?
No. So I wrote a TV show and brought it to MTV, and they took the idea and then shelved it, never produced it. But it was called Girls, GRRRLS, Who Rock. And the idea was I came to them and I said, listen, I'm a female, but I don't have any mentors. I have like Amelia Earhart and like who, right? I mean, come on, seriously. But like men can look to thousands of, Joan of Arc. Like, who am I supposed to look to here? Who are my mentors? So the idea was to travel around the world and find empowering women and showcase them. But it never happened. They shelved the idea. They years later, did something similar, but not quite. And so, no.
The HBO show? No.
I don't know. But, I mean, ultimately, I feel like I've never had enough female mentors. Yeah. My mom had a girlfriend who was really awesome. I loved her. She always wore flowers in her hair and overalls, and I thought she was the bomb. So she's one of my mentors. But I really it's been hard as a woman, for sure.
You're wearing a flower today.
I know. I love to wear flowers in my hair. So I'm just I thought I'd just cruise through this. So this is lightning in a bottle. Maybe last year, and this is some of the meditation stuff. I'll just cruise through this for you guys. This is, by the way, the structure that didn't have the walls up, wasn't ready, and I think this is moments after we got it all up. Some of the
and I recognize those from Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, we fall in love with things and then bring them.
And this year there's going to be water, I heard,
Yeah,
right?
This year there's going to be water.
Because there's a lake, it's a reservoir, so with all the rain.
Yeah.
Can you guys bring boats?
Can we bring boats?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be some boats. You can count on some boats.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, you can count on some boats.
So, being alone up there as a woman, who were your mentors at the time? And have they changed throughout time?
Marianne Williamson. I don't know if anyone here knows who Marianne Williamson is, but I was a huge Marianne Williamson fan. You should check out her videos, books, anything you can find. She's incredible.
At Galvanize, we talk a lot with our female entrepreneurs, and men too, I'm sure, about the imposter syndrome. And that's something that we find in our entrepreneurs, especially with women. Did you ever feel like an imposter when you were getting this started? Do you feel like an imposter now even?
I don't know if I've suffered from exactly the imposter syndrome, but what I can tell you is a story that changed and why I don't feel like that. So when we first got the Do Lab, we've got this, half rundown warehouse in downtown LA, and we fixed it up. But it was pretty old and broken down building. I think it was like 100 years old or something, warehouse. And one day the pipe broke inside the walls of the bathroom, and we had a bunch of bathrooms, and they were all clustered together, and in between them the pipe broke, and so we could hear the water spraying, and we could see the wall kind of bubbling out, but we didn't know where it was coming from. So we got this plumber, and he came over, and he was in there, and he was just like banging away on things and kind of going crazy in there, and he was a much older gentleman. So I'm like standing at the door watching him just bang on things, and I was just like, what are you doing? And he turned around and he goes, oh, I don't know. I was like,
are you my plumber?
yeah, I was like, didn't you tell us you had 30 years, like on his truck, 30 years of experience? And I'm like, and he goes, I never know what I'm doing till I figure it out. And I was like, okay. And I kind of walked away from that, and I thought, wow, he was so brave just to tell me, because I'm paying him like $50 an hour to try to figure this out, and he's banging away in there, that he doesn't know what he's doing. And I realized that, like, half the time none of us know what we're doing until we land it. So we're all just experimenting and trying things out, and then maybe they work and maybe they don't. So I've been maybe easy on myself since then, and I don't worry about it too much.
Embracing the failure, right? That's going to help us grow.
Yeah, because there's always lots of failures. They're happening moment to moment, like mini failures and big failures, and they're like sliced in between all the success.
So what do you consider your biggest failure that probably turned into growth?
Oh, geez.
Give us the dirty scoop.
Well, I can tell you that when we first came together with my partners, since then someone told me, like, whenever you get together with someone, you should write your divorce agreement, how you're going to break up if you ever decide to break up. Yeah. And we didn't do that. So if I could go back again, while we were putting together how we were going to operate, I would have constructed how we're going to eventually separate. And that didn't happen. So that's some advice I would give. Like, know how it's going to come apart eventually one day. Because everything cycles, and eventually you will want to move on.
Yeah, that's true. So what's next for you, Dream?
Oh. Well, so I've had a new download. I've had a new vision, and similar to lightning in a bottle, it came through me like a flash. I see a whole new way of people coming together, a new way of communing and celebrating, and I'm just excited to do that now.
Can we get any scoop, or?
I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet. But,
is it going to be around performance?
It's going to be around everything that I've ever done before, all mixed together, and a few new little elements mixed in. And it's like unlike anything that exists right now. I'm really excited about it. It's like all I can do. So I'm basically clearing my plate, getting myself ready to move on.
Awesome. And when will you announce it? When can we keep our eyes peeled?
I think probably in the fall.
In the fall, okay.
Maybe late fall, early winter.
Awesome. But it doesn't stop here.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay, cool. We're going to go to Q&A right now. So if you guys want to go into Slido, we'll go through some questions. Sam, when thinking about marketing channels, what do you feel has the highest impact/reach?
Oh, God, I'm awful at this stuff. So, I mean, I've been lucky to have two businesses that were really launched word of mouth. And I have done almost no marketing, or less than I should have, probably.
Really? For all three projects?
I would say that the Do Lab and Lightning have been much better, but we sell out every year and pretty much have since day one. So there's never really been a heavy marketing operation going on. Lucent is like zero marketing.
Zero marketing.
Yeah, we've always been as busy as we could handle. We've had a few time periods where it's been slow, but now that I'm sort of launching into this new project that I want to do, I'm like, okay, I got to get my marketing chops up. So I would love if there's anybody here that's a marketing genius, come and see me.
Great. On site, we know it can sometimes be organized chaos. Hopefully not. How do you manage not being overwhelmed?
I just thrive well in chaos. I do. Like when people are going crazy, I calm down. So the more agitated people are around me, the calmer I am. And I'm really good with people who are on edge, and I just happen to thrive in that environment. So I've been lucky that way. I think so. What I do is I just eye contact. If somebody's panicking, I make eye contact, and I'll just be like, okay, let's breathe. Let's talk about this. What do you need? And then we just figure it out.
Because your team has to be under a lot of pressure, do you guys do some sort of training of like working under pressure? Or it just flows?
We've just been working. First of all, just so you know, in both companies, our teams have been in place almost since day one. So my core team with Lucent has been with me since day one, 10, 11 years.
Wow, 10, 11.
Core team with DoLab also since day one. We also do have new people coming in all the time as we expand and grow, but the core people have been there. So the tone has already been set.
And why do they stay?
Because it's fun.
It seems like I'm getting this feeling that you really create a family, almost like.
Yeah, which, you take that for it's good or bad. I mean, there's been times definitely where like, oh my God, because I'm heavily involved in everyone's personal life. I'm heavily involved in everyone's drama, and I have no privacy myself. They watch me go through over the years have seen me go through everything. So there's aspects of that that's a little bit like sometimes I wish I had that where I just walked into the office and then walked out at the end of the day, because it doesn't go down that way. Like, we love each other and we're there for each other, and it's full on. And I think that's why we stay together.
I can relate at Galvanize, yeah. I feel like my colleagues know everything about me. When you walk us through your business model, can you walk us through your business model and expenses? What lessons did you learn as you figured out what worked best for you, for your festivals and attendees?
Well, the business model, it's changed over the years, of course. I think in the beginning, we were just, I don't want to say we were kids, because we were older than kids, but our mentality was super kid-like when we started. Like, we just wanted to create super fun things for people. And we did care about the business aspect of it, but it wasn't in the forefront of our minds. The first thing that we cared about was creating the most incredible experience ever for the people coming in, and for ourselves as we were in the creation process. And now, I think, I've never been a money person. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. Like, money has always come to me sort of accidentally. Like, I'm never striving towards the financial part of it. And that now, I have a child now, so I'm a mom. And for the first time in my life, I'm like, oh, maybe I should start thinking about,
time.
Being more organized in the financial realm.
Do one of your co-founders, are they owning that part, the financial part?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So you just managed to find somebody that had that business mindset.
He wasn't a business person either, but he just elected to take it on. So my other partner and I could be more creative.
Great. When planning the festival year one, how did you approach getting funding and booking artists? What were your revenue attendance goal going in and the reality? What was your attendance goal going in and the reality of it?
So the first event that we produced, I had been successful already, so I had money. So I just used my money that I had. I didn't know back then that you could get an investor even. It didn't even occur to me
So you bootstrapped?
Yeah, I just threw whatever. I didn't care. Like, what does it need? Here it is. And the first year of Lightning in a Bottle, we had 800 people, and we were stoked. We were so happy.
And that was all word of mouth?
No, I had a mailing list. I had a 5,000 person plus mailing list, which back then, like email list, which back then was huge. That was like a ginormous mailing list back then.
And it was mostly people from your network?
Yeah.
From previous projects?
I was savvy in the internet realm before most people were for some reason, because now I'm not. But like I like to dive into things that nobody else is interested in, and then the second other people are interested in it, I'm out. So like nobody really was like, everybody was like, oh, the internet, I don't know, or emails, oh, that's kind of weird. So I was all over it. Social media, tribe.net. I don't know if anyone remembers that. But it was like the first Facebook, sort of, that I knew existed. It was called tribe.net. So I dove right in there and built my networks, and I had a huge network built up for our companies on MySpace. And then I was really pissed when Facebook came out. I was just like, what, are you kidding me? I'm not doing this again.
So you bootstrapped. How much money?
That was like $25,000, something like that. It wasn't a lot.
And booking the artists. How did you get the artists?
They were all friends. Yeah, we just booked our friends. Bass Nectar was a friend of mine back then. Okay. We just booked our friends. Yeah.
And now I'm sure you have a whole team around booking.
Yeah, huge team. Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. What do you want your legacy to be, and how would you like to be remembered?
Well, my next project that I'm going to unleash on the world, I would like that to be my legacy. Yeah, it's holistic. So what I'm looking for now is holistic experiences. When I go out at night, I often come home feeling like depleted or empty or something. And but at the same time, if I go to yoga, that's not enough for me either. Like I'm all things. I'm deeply spiritual. I'm super wild. I'm a total freak. I'm nuts. I'm out of my mind. I'm also love deep conversation. I'm just all things. I'm not one thing. So I don't want to sit in a bar and, have to drink alcohol to have a deep conversation with somebody. I don't want to go to yoga and not talk to the person beside me necessarily. I don't want to go out dancing all night long necessarily. Like, I want all things. I want it all. I love, to go get massages. I like hiking in the woods. I like all these different things. So how can I do that? How can I get all of that in one place? That's what I'm going for.
Great. So you would like to be remembered by that one experience that you want to create?
Well, I think I'd like to be remembered as an innovator in bringing people together, in creating new ways of bringing people together, and as a kind person, a good person. I want to be remembered for my kindness.
Yeah. Is there ever such thing as too much planning?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Definitely.
How so?
Okay. Good question. Whoever asked that, good question. I always leave, even when Lucent performs, there are parts of the show that are completely uncrafted, and I just shove people on stage. Even if we're in front of 30,000 people, I'm like, go out there and figure it out, because there's magic in the unknown. So it's so important not to craft everything. You have to let whatever is coming through. So this is how I see Earth. I see it as a realm, not a planet. I see it 500 years ago with the introduction of the material sciences. We became material people living in a material world. But there's more to this realm than just materialism. There's magic here. We all know it. Like, you think of someone and they call you. That's the most simple one that I can tell you. But, the way ideas come through us, there's magic here. And we've sort of forgotten it, or it's been left out of our current culture. But if you go around the world and look at the megaliths, you know that they were moving massive stones. We all know this. We learned this in school. Massive stones that we don't have the equipment to move today. How did they do that? Because there's magic here that we don't know about. So tapping into that magic is key for everything I'm doing. And inspiring my team to tap into it too. Don't craft everything. Leave something for magic, for chance.
Really embracing the serendipity in it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you plan 6 to 12 months for a 72-hour event. How do you plan your time during these 72 hours? What do you find yourself usually doing?
Okay, well, it's more than 72 hours now because we're a 5-day festival. During the time period, well, I used to be working my butt off, but now I find that my main job is to keep my team positive and on track. So I'm more like a cheerleader for my team now. So I'm just checking in with everybody. How you doing? What do you need? How you doing? What do you need? That's my job now. Just making sure that everybody's taken care of because they're really the people now running the show.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever go dancing or yoga or none of that?
I took a yoga class last year. I made it to one. I got out to one show. It's important for me to go out and experience it like a participant because I need to know what the experience is. So I do try to get around, and I get upset when I don't get around enough. But I do try to go around and just see how the stages are going, how everyone's doing.
This one's important. Did you ever have a burnout? How did you experience it and cope with it?
So I had an interesting experience at LAB last year where I was so exhausted. And, typical of every year, a few weeks before the festival, I thought to myself, I can't do this. I'm not going to make it. I'm so exhausted. I can't make it to the finish line. And in my mind, I think of it as like I'm brought to my knees, and I'm sure you guys have all had those experiences in your life where you're literally like on your knees and you're just like, I can't give anymore. I can't do anymore. I have nothing left. I'm empty. But you got to keep going because the festival's 2 weeks away. Yeah. So I kept going, and then the second that people arrive, I feel elevated by their energy, and I literally just allow
recharges you.
Yes, I allow myself to tap into the joy. Like as soon as I see the first girl, in a little tutu with an umbrella skipping across the field, like I'm just like, yes, that's what I did this morning.
I'm here.
Yes, thank you for your dance. But Saturday night, so I'm like tapping into their energy and I'm using their energy. Saturday night, Lucent had already, Lucent also performs at LAB. I have some pictures of Lucent, which I can show you in a minute too, for those of you that don't know who Lucent.
Yeah, we can make the switch.
So I was so exhausted, and this is sort of very super personal experience, but I'm going to tell you guys because it's super key to, and I'll flash through these while I'm telling you guys. So I went, so this is Lucent in the very, very beginning. This is how we came out of the gates. This is 2006. That's me. This is, now I'm running through the years. This is coming up through the years. Some of these are from Coachella.
How many performers?
Our core team is about 16.
16.
But we've done things, huge shows where we've had 60 some odd performers. We've performed all over the world. We've done shows for, this is Coachella, Sahara Tent last year, Sahara Tent. It was kind of our biggest show ever.
Wow.
So, so it's Saturday night, lighting in a bottle. I've told you how exhausted I was 2 weeks before. And Lucent's already performed, so that's out of the way. I'm speaking on Sunday, so that hasn't happened yet. And I'm so exhausted, and I go back to my RV, and I try to sleep, but have you guys ever had that kind of exhaustion where you feel like you've had 30 cups of coffee? But I didn't drink caffeine at all. So I was like laying in bed and everything's vibrating like this. And as I'm laying in the bed, I look down and I notice that I actually am vibrating, and like my whole body is shaking, and it starts getting worse. And I'm trying to calm myself down. I'm trying to meditate. And the more I try to calm myself down, the more my body starts to shake like this. And all of a sudden I'm in full on tremors. And I'm like, I'm like, wow, I think I'm having a seizure, and I'm alone, and my body's like vibrating, and I'm like, well, I'm fully having a seizure. Wow. And I can't even get up to call anybody, and it's maybe 4 in the morning or something, and my body goes in, and then I start bouncing like this, and the whole RV is shaking, and I'm in a full-on physical seizure. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, okay, I have to, so one of the things I've spent a great deal of time studying is ancient technologies and the megaliths of the world, as I mentioned earlier, and ancient cultures. And one of the things that I know is that in all ancient cultures, shivering or tremoring is part of their culture, and that's how they shake off negative energy. They use tremors. So in our culture, when you start to shake, people are like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh, stop shaking, and they try to stop you from shaking. But in all ancient cultures, in all around the world, tremoring, shaking is a positive thing, and you want to do it. When it's going to happen, you got to let it happen. So I just go into my yes and mode, and I'm like, okay, yes, 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 yes. Instead of, like, I let my fear go, I go into the yes mode, and all of a sudden I start like moving, and then I'm just like, I've heard of Kundalini awakenings before. You guys have heard of a Kundalini awakening? I've heard about it. I've always...
Maybe explain it a little bit.
So a Kundalini awakening is, we have a fluid that runs up and down our spine from our head. It's how serotonin, the way that I understand it is that serotonin is, you can release serotonin into your brain just by moving your spine and letting the fluid flow more fluidly up and down your spine. So a Kundalini awakening is when you have an energetic, when your body like sort of reboots itself and gives itself an energetic recharge. So I was laying in bed and I start tremoring, and I'm like, okay, my body's just trying to shake something off. So I start saying yes. And as I start saying yes, like my spine starts twisting, and then I start, like, I'm twisting all over the place. If anybody could see this, they would have thought it was like an exorcism or some crazy, it was nuts.
You couldn't talk? No.
No, and I was all by myself. My body took over. I was not in control at all. I had zero control over my body. And it was just going crazy, and then I'm like shaking, and anyway, this went on for 4 hours, you guys.
Wow.
And it culminated in massive purging, vomiting, and I was sweating profusely, and after I was done vomiting, it was literally like I got like I'd been to the spa and been pampered for hours. Like I suddenly was like, oh, you know, and the sun was up, and it was time for me to go back to work, and like I walked over, and everybody was like, wow, you look so fresh. What happened to you? And I was like, do I tell it? Like, it was such a crazy experience that I didn't even know how to, I couldn't articulate it for a while.
And that was from burnout?
Yeah, that was from burnout.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a big burnout.
My body rebooted itself. My body recharged itself and rebooted itself, and I purged. So I don't know if anybody here understands or knows about ayahuasca, but I've spent twice now. I've gone to the Amazon and spent a month there with the Shipibos, deep up in the Amazon, drinking ayahuasca. The first time I went and drank with the grandmothers, so I was with 4 grandmothers, and I drank for a month. And then the second time I just went back was a few months ago, and I did it again. And it's it's all about purging. So you can purge through burping, farting, sweating, yawning, crying. Like, it's literally releasing all negative energy out of your energetic system so that you can be new again. And my experience there this year was next level. Like, I came back from there completely renewed. But what happened to me at LAB was 0 medicine, just exhaustion, and all by myself, no shaman, no one watching over me, no one, which was the hardest part, like, because I was crying and shaking, and the whole time I was just like, I need somebody to help me,
here, yeah.
Somebody, anybody, like, I just can't do this by myself. Yeah. I kept going, I can't do this by myself, and then I would hear a voice go, yes, you can, and you will, and you are.
Wow.
It was like, I almost birthed my new self, like, all by myself. I birthed the new me.
And so how do you avoid this burnout now? Like, what lessons have you taken from this experience?
I think I'm learning to be easier on myself and to be more of a yes person. the thing is, like, stuff's coming at us all the time, and some of it we have control over and some we don't. So I have a child now, so I've taught him about negotiables and non-negotiables. So, like, brushing his teeth every day is a non-negotiable, so no sense getting upset about it. It's non-negotiable. So don't, like, whine and complain and get upset, because it's going to happen every day. So those are non-negotiables, and, like, I put in my life into that category things like parking tickets. Like, every once in a while you're going to get a speeding ticket, a parking ticket, you know, something like that. So, like, there's no sense in me getting, oh, hi, you guys over here. I was like, you're staring in the back of my head the whole time. There's no sense getting upset about those things, because they're happening, right? They're just going to happen.
Accept it.
Yeah, so I try, like, even, so on my way here, here's an example. I brought my computer with a slideshow, and then when I went through the security at the airport, I left my computer in the bucket. I was so excited to get on the airplane that I left my computer. I've left things in that bucket before and never got them back, so I'm probably not getting my computer back. Maybe I will, but I have to write them an email, and then maybe they write me back. So it's like, in the past, that probably would have brought me to my knees, but I haven't even, like, been upset for a second about it. It's like, whatever. You know, it's just like stuff is happening all the time, and life is good times and bad times, and they're just happening all the time. And for me, it's a wave. Like, I'm waving through the good times and the bad times, and my practice is now not to be invested in the bad times, like, to stay out of the drama. I just coast through the bad times. I don't have to pretend I'm enjoying them, but I just, like, coast over them. And I try to stay focused on the good things that are happening.
Yeah.
Because the bad stuff's going to keep coming. It's inevitable. And we're in crazy times right now, people. Anybody noticed?
Coast with action? I don't know. It's like, do we coast now? Do we act on it? So what is your advice to find and approach the best mentor?
That's a good one. I always wanted more mentorship in my life. I've wished I had more mentorship. I'm always nervous to ask people because I assume everyone's super busy like I am. I think that the best mentorship that I've had, my father told me iron sharpens iron when I was a kid. I had no idea what he was talking about. But later in life, I realized that what he was saying is, like, whoever you spend time with, you become like. You emulate those people around you. So at some point, I leveled up with my friendships. And I still have all my old friends, my crazy old friends who aren't, I have a lot of friends who aren't ambitious and they don't really care what happens in their life. They're just, like, you know, doing their thing. And we've known each other for 20 years or whatever, and we're still great friends. I have those friends, and I keep those friends, and I love them, and they're amazing. I also have a whole new set of friends who are achieving major milestones and doing great things. And
matching your energy, right?
Yeah, people who are, or I consider way beyond me, like Elon Musk, you know, and I get to spend as much time with those people as I can. They're busy, those friends that are in that category, but I try to spend as much time with the people who I'm impressed by. Mm-hmm. And I come to them with, like, how can I add to your life? Because everybody's busy. So when I meet somebody I'm impressed by, I'm like, okay, how can I add something really amazing to this person's life and create value for them so that they'll keep me around? So that's how I operate.
Great. Go ahead.
How do you add value to some people? You don't have to go really.
Well, I'm an event producer, so that comes in handy, right? I'm like, when's your birthday? I got that, you know?
He asked for an example of how she adds value, just to clarify. Yeah, cool. This one's a simple question. What music are you listening to now? What music are you listening to lately?
Well, so I've been, I'm really interested in sound healing now. So I've been listening to a lot of different sound healing creators, people making more, I don't know, so I've been in the electronic music world for a really long time. I brought Bass Nectar to the Do Lab and to Lightning in a Bottle. So back in the day, he was breakbeat and then dubstep. So you guys know electronic music, you know what I'm talking about. And now probably I'm more in the house, deep house, tropical house, in terms of like what I'm producing and putting out there, because I'm also a music producer. But in terms of what I listen to by myself, I listen to sound healing. I listen to 432 hertz instead of 440 hertz, and I'm interested in people who are like playing flute. I love indigenous flute, and you guys had a singing bowl here. I love singing bowls, so I'm listening to that stuff.
Yeah, I've actually seen a lot more events coming up in San Francisco around singing bowls and sound meditation healing in our Grace Cathedral. So a lot of young people are going after that. Yeah.
It's true. So, and I will tell you guys this, if you have not been in a sound healing, it is like a transcendental experience where you can, it's like being on psychedelics. Not that I know anything about that. But it's like being on psychedelics without taking any drugs. So you can go in and lay down on the floor and have somebody give you a sonic healing. And every time I do it, I have creative visions. So that's why I'm into it. I'm into it for what it opens up channels to the etheric realms where all the ideas live. So I believe, like the ancient Greeks did, that ideas don't belong to us. Like any idea that I've had is never mine. It's literally traveling past me in the ethers, and I open myself up and it comes in. That's why when ideas come through us, they can come so quickly. The really powerful ones come so fast, because you literally just open up and it comes in. And if you look back in history, you can see that great ideas came to more than one person at the same time. You know, people were fighting over who invented the airplane, who was the first person to fly, the brassiere, the car. Like, all these ideas are always coming to multiple people at the same time. And that's because I believe the ideas are kind of flying by us, and we just open ourselves up. And if we're in that state where we're available to it, it'll drop in. So sound healings are primo for that.
We're going to end on this question. So what is your why? Simon Sinek fan. How did you come to define it? What is your process?
My why is also always creating better experiences for people to come together. Because I think the greatest problem that we have is depression and loneliness. And it's all secretive. It's secretive depression and secretive loneliness. Because when I get down and have deep one-on-one conversations with people, every single person that I talk to, if they're willing to admit it, has experienced depression and loneliness in their life. And most of the time, they've hid it or kept it to themselves. So I think, I can't even remember what the amount of people on SSRIs, which is like Prozac or one of those drugs, in the United States is insane. So my goal...
We need to talk about mental health, yeah. We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. It's the, silent killer. So I myself have suffered from it. Even in the moments of my greatest success, I have felt like unworthy or not good enough or not doing enough or, not grateful enough, not successful, like whatever, not enough. I'm not enough. So for me, my why is always, how can I bring people together in a holistic way? How can I bring people together to be playful and have more fun? Because I think we're all wound up too tight. We're all chasing the, bottom line of our lives, trying to make rent and have a better car and, whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. So how can we come together and laugh more, play more, have more fun, and in a holistic way that doesn't wreck us?
Well, thank you, Dream. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming. stay in tune. We're going to actually post this video up if you ever want to share it with your friends. We're going to have more events like these. We have them once a quarter, so we'll keep you guys posted. And thanks again, Roya, for planning this amazing event and having me.
Thank you.